Okay, so these were the most missed questions from the surface area section. So this first one, we have a pyramid. It has a square base as indicated by the 10 on each of those sides. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a net for this one. So we've got a square base with 10 on each dimension. Then folded out from each of those sides is going to be a congruent triangle. So we'll have 4 congruent triangles. All right, and as you can tell from mine, the picture doesn't have to be perfect here. All right, it's just enough so that we can find the area of each of the pieces. All right, so when I look at this, first thing I'm going to do for surface area is I'm going to start with the area of the base, which is 10 times 10, all right, or 100. Then I'm going to add on 4 of the triangles, and triangles are 1/2 base times height. Our base on these triangles are 10, and our height is indicated as 7. All right, so if I push this together, I've got 100 plus 4 times 1/2 is 2. 10 times 7 is 70. 2 times 70 would be 140. So that's going to be 240. And then I look for my units. My units are meters, so it would be meters squared because of this area. So 240 meters squared is the correct answer for that first one there. All right, if we jump to the next one was another surface area problem. This one was a rectangular solid or a box basically. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of unwrap it here. So I've got a base at the bottom there. That's going to be 2.5 along that side, and it's going to be 4 along this side. All right, so that takes into account this piece right here on the bottom. Now I'm going to unfold, so I have 1, 2, 3 more sides that are going to be next to that. All right, and there's going to be congruent pairs in that. All right, so the bottom and the top are the same, so this is another 2.5 and a 4. All right, and then you're going to have the side pieces, which are 2 and 4 on those. All right, so now I've got the entire exterior, but then I'm also going to have the end caps, and the end caps would fold down from this, and they'd be a height of 2. So I have a 2 there and a 2.5 there, and then we'd have our height on this side too, which is another 2. All right, so this is basically the net for this rectangular solid. So I'm going to go through and find the area of each of these sections. So we've got 2 times 2.5, which is 5, there and there. We've got 2.5 times 4, all right, which is 10 for that piece and that piece. And then I've got 2 times 4, which is 8 for that piece and that piece. So the surface area, I'm adding up all 6 faces. So I've got a 10 plus 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 10 plus 8. All right, that's going to be 10 plus 10 is 20 plus 2 5s. It's going to take me to 30 plus 16 is 46. All right, so we're going to have 46. I look back for units. There's no units listed, so we'll just say the generic units squared. All right, so 46 units squared on that one. And again, the whole idea is we find a net, and then once we have our net, we just find the area of each piece. All right, the last one before we get to some of the quiz questions is this one right here. This is find the surface area of the cube shown. So a cube, it basically tells you that you're going to have that 2.5 on each side. Now, I prefer working with mixed numbers. I think they're easier to work with. So I've got 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So we've got 5 over 2. All right, now, since it's a cube, all 6 faces are congruent. So I'm just going to take 6 times the area of one side. And one side is going to be a square, so it's side times side or side squared. All right, so I have 6 of those. And it's going to be 5 halves times 5 halves. So I've got 6 times 25 fourths. All right, I'll reduce the 4 and the 6 to a 3 and a 2. All right, 3 times 25 is 75. So I have 75 halves. All right, which is going to be 37.5. All right, because we're taking the 75, cutting that half. Half of 70 is 35. And then you've got half of 5, which is 2.5, so 37.5. I look back for my units. There's none listed, so we go with the generic units squared. All right, so that's surface area. And again, for that last one, we did not make a net because it was a cube, so we knew we had 6 congruent faces. All right, if I take a look at a couple of the quiz questions that cause people trouble, this first one said find the area of a circle with a circumference of 37.68. All right, so 37.68 is the circumference, and we know circumference equals 2 pi r. All right, so I'm going to divide 2 pi off each side, and I get r equals 37.68 divided by 2 pi. Now, it wants the area of that circle. So I'm going to go to area equals pi r squared. And I'm going to plug that number in for the r. All right, and then I can square that. Now, I can do a little bit of reducing here with the pi. So I'm really going to end up with 37.68 squared over 2 pi, because one of the pi's will cancel with the pi out in front. All right, from here you can take it to your calculator and get an approximate value. But that's the process to get there. Entering it in the calculator, a big thing to remember. You've got your 37.68 to the second. But then when you divide, you're going to want to divide by the quantity 2 pi. The most common mistake is to not put that last set of parentheses there, and that's going to cause your final answer to be off. All right, and then your answer is going to be units squared on this one. So we would go to the calculator from here, and I'll leave that as an exercise for you to finish that out. All right, the next one that came up was this problem right here. Now, we could treat this in two ways. We could treat it, really we could split it in a couple different ways. We could split it into a trapezoid and a square. All right, we could also split it into a rectangle and a trapezoid. Either way works perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead on this one, and I'll take it and cut it right there. All right, so I've got 2 times 8, which is 16 for that section. All right, I'm going to cut it here. All right, so I've got 4 times 2, so it's 8 for that piece. All right, and then I've got a 2 and a 4 on this, but it's a triangle, so I've got 1/2 times 2 times 4. Half of 8 is 4. All right, so again, by subdividing this down into regions, we can get the area pretty quickly. And we've got 16 for the large rectangle, plus 8 for the small rectangle, plus 4 for the triangle. And that gives me a 28. All right, and that's one option to go through this one. Again, there are a lot of ways to go. Totally up to you which route you choose. All right, if we take a look at the next one that came up on the quiz, that was actually the only one from the quiz, it looks like. Those were the only two that caused people trouble. So overall, you did a really nice job on that quiz. Keep up the great work. I know it's getting harder as the weather's getting nice outside. But I appreciate all the hard work you're putting in the class. Thanks.